Tackling economic hardship, options before government is what we're about this morning. And at my extreme left, I have the former ASU chairman, Uniben chapter, a chemist, and he is the HOD of Chemistry Department, University of Benin, Professor Julius Iyasele. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Philip, for having me. Good morning, viewers.
And close to the professor is a doctor, also a University of Benin lecturer, an economist, and he is Dr. Presley Osemije. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Well, we're going through the pages of the newspaper and a whole lot of challenges that Nigeria is faced with. And we have a situation where Nigeria has been warned, even by the CBN governor and other global institutions, that we should find a way to, have revenue generation. Otherwise, we'll fall into debt distress, where Nigeria will be unable to finance its obligations annually. And that really calls for an attention. As an economic expert, Dr. Presley, do you see this as a big challenge for Nigeria, or is just a storm in the cup?
Once again, thank you, Mr. Philip. I think the emphasis should be on revenue generation, because the economy right now is being overburdened by the excess borrowing. Because when I mean excess borrowing, if you look at the GDP ratio to debt ratio is about 45%. Some will argue, oh, very much can still accommodate more revenue to borrow. But that is not the point. But if you check that vis-a-vis the revenue aspect of it, you see that we are using almost 80% of our revenue to service our debt, and that cannot be sustained.
Almost 80%, you said?
Yeah, almost. Wow. So the economy cannot sustain that in the face of this current economic hardship. That means the revenue that's being generated is being transmitted, is servicing debt and debt repayment. The emphasis now should not be on what point should the government should not focus on. How do we raise revenue? How do we generate revenue? That's the major emphasis that the economy should focus on. The former CBN, though some will argue he was more or less a professional politician rather than a professional banker, did a lot of stuff, that didn't work well for
the Godwin MFLA?
Yes.
Former CBN governor.
CBN governor. So the steps taken through the ways and means and all of that, affected the economy, badly. Now, for us to leave this quagmire and the squadron and the doctrine of finance, we need, this current administration need a conscious and deliberate approach to ensure that revenue is the focal point.
Okay, I don't know what happened to the 8-year administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Professor Julius Iyasele, I'm stuck at a point where I'm thinking we had this diversification of the economy that was like a song all through the 8 years of his administration. Now, does it mean that the APC government, as we speak right now, it's not having, where to hold on to as per the development strides of the former President Muhammadu Buhari on the diversification of the economy?
Philip, let me reiterate that what we feared most has come upon all of us. That is the situation. I'm sorry you're mentioning the last administration or something like that. And then my co-discussant here also have talked about the former CBN governor, MFLA. What I'm saying here is that over the years we have had people who have no need to be in government ruling over this country. That is just what it is. In fact,
or is it that Nigeria is a difficult country to rule
Nigeria is not difficult at all. This is the most resourceful country because you have everything for revenue generation.
But don't forget we are battling with insecurity. And there is no way a people can thrive if there is insecurity.
What is the cause of insecurity? How did it come? When people are hungry, why won't people take into insecurity? When you have a government, people who can't think into the future without vision, why won't insecurity come and all that? When you have a fallow ground, nobody is in charge, why won't insecurity come? And then when somebody just goes out of the country and say you can come into my country without papers, why won't insecurity come? It's just because that we have had people leaders who have no reason to be in government.
Okay, but if you say so, if you say so, there's a whole lot that you just said that also will make us to take a perspective of what the former administration was like. Because we could see huge amounts of money given to subnational government to help close the gap, the economic rift that we've been faced with. And we could also see how, the Paris Club loan was also refund was also shared among the subnational governments.
Yes.
Are you saying that this government of former President Muhammadu Buhari didn't do well in all of this? Or would you say that the attention of the challenges that we are faced with could be from the subnational?
No, it's all of them together, because you shared the money for them to do what? One would have thought that if you are giving money to somebody and then you want to recover an ailing economy, you will direct, this is what you should, I'll give you this, but this is what you should do with this money and all that. There should be people who are sitting down somewhere and in a think now, in even that they are fake meetings. I expect that the president will remind them of the level of decadence, the level of threat that we are facing as a country, and then direct succinctly on what they should do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have, if these warnings were coming, you wouldn't have somebody who not come into government and is still, exhibiting high level of opulence in all direction and all that. Somebody who had not come into government, on your convoy, you have over 120 cars and all that. And then you are coming into government, then now you have how many ministers and all that. When we were supposed to be cutting down the cost of governance. And so what do we have? These people are one-on-one. There's no difference between 6.5 or a dozen. They are all together. That is the meaning. Because
I don't think we will need all of this blame game at the point where
if we are not blaming, history is a summation of decisions made in the past. If we are not blaming anybody now, then it means even ourselves we have problem. Okay, because we are in a terrible mess now. Okay. So we need to blame so that we know how to come out of it.
Let's critique what is happening at the level of the CBN, where the CBN governor said that it's going to be mopping about 5 trillion naira, from the banking industry. And that is as a result of the hike or raise in the cash reserve ratio of banks. Before now, it was 32.5% raise, but now it's going to be at 45%, where the CBN will be mopping 5 trillion naira from the banking industry. I don't know if it's going to send shiver down the spines of the banks, but do you see this as an economist? Do you see this as a laudable development?
Mr. Philip, honestly, when
as a way of tackling inflation.
Yeah. I think normally there are two sides to it. We have the monetary policy and the fiscal policy.
Okay.
Now, the monetary policy aspect is what the CBN governor is trying to, work on. But you cannot do that. You're also looking at the fiscal, discipline aspect of it, like what Prof just said.
Okay.
You cannot be mopping up excess money in the economy, and
not necessarily in the economy, as in from the banking industry.
When I mean the banking industry,
as a way of reserving this money for security reasons. Peradventure, the bank is in distress.
Yes, it's still the same way of mopping excess money in the economy.
Okay.
By increasing the...
Because the money is not going to come from an isolated...
exactly. Because, it's not from here. Now, our government must be disciplined in spending. We can only talk about the monetary aspect of it. And again, look at the MPC that was really increased. Whether the short or long run, it will not do the economy any growth. Why? Because you are strangulating productivity and economic growth. And let's not forget that Nigeria economy is
the MPC. MPC.
Yes. Now, you are strangulating the economy. And let's not forget that Nigeria economy is largely an informal sector economy driven. Now, the increment may not have the needed impact. It will not affect the economy the way it should be, because most of the running that's been done in Nigeria economy is largely, the informal, sector. But how big that is made, this announcement or this exercise may have, just a short-term impact on the economy, in terms of inflation. But let's not forget, inflation can also be driven by so many factors.
Okay.
Like we have demand pull inflation, we have cost push inflation, we have imported inflation.
Where are we now at present?
Oh, yeah, I'm coming. Let me do the analysis. Now, for example, if our production is good, excellent, and there's too much money in the economy,
yeah,
then we can say, okay, that's demand, pull inflation, too much money chasing fuel, goods. But what we have now is a case of, cost pull inflation and demand pull inflation and imported inflation in Nigeria economy. Now, to handle this, the CBN governor or management must be very careful in approaching this issue. Like I said, first, the Nigerian economy is largely informal. That's one. Policy may not trickle down where to the economy to hit the right target. That's another two. Again, production. Let's look at production aspect because we have the consumption and production aspect. Recently, does Nigeria, are we producing anything in Nigeria? The answer,
the consumption rate is far higher than production rate.
Yeah, exactly. We are not producing. And the current policy, again, we strangulate production. Again, reducing production, and it's not good for the economy.
Does this in any way affect the fall of the naira? When we talk about production, production rates.
Yeah. Now, let me emphasize this, Mr. Philip. When we talk about the fall in naira, we are looking at the value. Nigeria, naira currently is highly devalued, and if care is not taken, this small stopgap measure that the CBN government just did is just a cushion. I call it surface, dressing, because the main issue has not been addressed. The Nigerian economy is highly dollarized, and most of these politicians, even the so-called few big men, keep their money in our currencies. Our currencies, I mean pound, dollars, and the euro, and the rest. Now, they've been able to hold grip to this high currency in order to ensure that the continued devaluation of the naira, so that their wealth, I won't store their wealth in this high currency. They are going to guide it with all, emphasis and jealousy.
So that again contributes to the fall of the naira.
Exactly. Nigerian naira, until we start to produce, Nigerian naira may hardly breathe.
So are you by this saying that the policy is being injected into monetary aspect of it by the CBN governor Kadoso? It's not really meeting your aspiration
at all, because like I said, it's whether it's going to have a short-term impact, because the target, let's not forget, there's a trade-off between inflation, economic growth, and production, and a good CBN governor must be able to balance this to ensure an optimal interest rate that will accommodate the growth and production we are talking about in the economy. But if you keep to increase these parameters, carry out zero and APC, and imagine that means that a bank, if they're going to give out credit, they're going to, I think currently they increase to 400 basic points. Now they will jack up their own to about 600 basic points, making it very difficult, for people to actually borrow. And again, you are strangulating the economy, because the economy is largely based on production. And again, the economy will not grow. And if you continue to increase this, the problem there, Nigeria may just slide into recession, just the way UK. UK currently is in recession, and Canada, if care is not taken, may also slide into recession. These are economy that produce. Let's come back home. Nigeria, we hardly produce anything here.
To the extent that produce are sliding into recession.
Even when they're increasing,
let alone
Nigeria economy, where we hardly as such compared to this economy.
We don't produce as such. All right. Well, I want to get your reaction, because why he was talking about as in production rate, how it affects, the fall of the naira.
Yes.
You wanted to say something in that regard. Let's get your reaction.
Of course, nobody tells even a blind man that it's raining. The only way to regenerate such an economy is to get into productive venture. Exactly. That is it. Reduce your import tendencies and consume more of what you produce. If are anywhere near government, what I will be suggesting to government now is that you eat what you produce You wear what you produce and drink what you produce, and you must school here. These are the reasons for capital flight in this country. And then if we need to control, you know, the rate at which our naira is falling, we have to control these factors that I'm talking about. For instance, the vice president today will be launching a factory in, I think at Abeokuta, the Adire factory and all that.
Yeah.
If I were in their shoes, that is if they know what they are doing, I will make one day out of the 7 days of a week Adire day. What I'm trying to do by that Adire day, yes, is that all Nigerians must wear that are wear Adira on such a
what we produce
on such a yes, to encourage what we produce. If you go into the hinterland, if you have Ekwacha by this and Nyocha people, there is the one that these people weave and all that. All these ideas is to encourage people to now wear what we do. By the time you do that, remember that there is a street in Benin here that is called Textile Mill Road. The indication is that what that tells you that there used to be a textile factory. There was a football team called Asabatex. What that means is that you had a textile a factory in Asaba. What of if you go to the north, you go to Kaduna and all that. So if we need to regenerate, it's so simple about what we have in there. What I'm asking really is to control this economic quagmire. What is the current government doing? A time was, let me land. This acronym, OFN, was put in place by a government. Isn't it? Operation Feed the Nation.
Yeah.
A structural adjustment program was another put in place by a government to control, you know, to checkmate the fall of the economy. So what I'm asking is, what is our current government, what have they put in place to control the free fall in naira? Because if you direct now that we have problem, or people should be told, and then everybody must return back to the land. And now technology has assisted us that you can do farming even in your compound that is cemented. That is
cemented.
Yes.
Animal farming can take place there.
Not only animal farming. Not only animal farming.
It means we're not going to see the soil.
No, you won't see soil. So what you need to do, go and get bags.
Oh,
put earth, put sand into the bags, plant your crops, and they will do very well. People are harvesting yam from bags, harvesting what they call it now, cassava from bags, and all that. You encourage your citizens. People from, or even leaves now, are producing crops and all that. So what
are you saying that? Are you saying that because we don't have enough earth or enough lands where people can go?
You know, because
because of the threat of insecurity.
Something told me that you were going to ask me this question about the problem of insecurity. So I know that we can always beat insecurity by the method that I have just profiled, and that is what it is. And excuse me, we have government been able to check the hauling of our minerals and the way they are taking them out and all that? Have they been able to check all of that?
You know, you were talking about the aspect of illegal refineries, you know, a way of the government interacting with this, with a policy that will encourage them, you know, to be legalized.
I said
now,
so.
On the pages of the newspaper this morning, we saw where it was being said that, you know, an illegal refinery was destroyed by the government. And,
they will continue to.
Liters of fuel in their thousands were destroyed.
Yes.
How do you bring that to perspective?
Yeah, my brother.
A developing nation.
The truth about it is that these people are not interested in us. It is death that cures madness. Let me tell you. The issue here is that these people are not interested in us. They are interested in themselves. If
no. Let's just be objective.
No, I'm being objective. I'm telling you the truth.
Let's look at how the illegal refinery can transform to productivity.
Excuse me, I've said before on this same platform that government should go down to the creeks Meet with those boys who are into illegal refinery. Ask them, how are you doing it? How can we assist you to improve on the level of production and also save the environment? With that, we have fuel. I said before, most of the condensates you see around and all that are supplied from the creeks and all that. So the only thing government needs to do is to encourage all this, but instead of destroying, that tells you that they don't have genuine intention. Okay, that is what I'm telling you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's go. I think we are hitting the aims of this presentation. Let's look at the aspect where, IMF and even the World Bank and some global institutions I've raised a whole lot of revelation about the fact that the federal government is still subsidizing petrol. And now, I've been looking at the nook and cranny of the pages of the newspaper to see if the government will refute that claim, but I've not seen any. Now, there is a need, like the human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, has said that there should be a review of the petrol subsidy removal, owing to the fact that we are getting from corners, from major financial houses, that Nigerian government is still, subsidizing petrol. Now, how do you greet that? And would you say that it is a right direction to take for Nigerian government not to even interact with subsidizing petrol? Because we have in some reports where in Ghana, for instance, we have about 1,500, in Cameroon over 2,000 naira, and in Niger over 2,000. So it seems Nigeria's pump price is really being subsidized.
Mr. Philip, let me pick from where you stopped. You said Niger, talk about Cameroon and Ghana. Do they produce oil? Do you have crude oil reserve as compared to Nigeria? Do we have the same amount of crude oil reserve?
That's a rhetorical question.
No, it's not. No, the answer is no. You see, and again, let's compare the minimum wage. By Nigeria now is about $16. But in even Nigeria is over about $100 in terms of minimum wage. Now let's come back home whether actually our Nigerian government is subsidizing the current fuel or not. Hitherto before now I have strongly argued against the removal of fuel subsidy, because which I believe that the fuel subsidy regime would have been better managed, and even if government was to remove it, they would have ensured a meticulous plans to ensure that this thing are removed in phases, rather than the outright removal of say, oh, subsidy is gone. Where are we today? I expect government after over 6 months to review. They carry out a review, a systematic review of the entire process. Now, money was removed from our individual pockets, by way of subsidy removal. And again, this money now will not be given to the so-called governors you mentioned earlier, and even federal government. The question is, what are they doing with the money? The finances that have been, so far, the gain have made in terms of, subsidy removal. What I thought the current administration was going to do was to have a portfolio, a basket, whereby the subsidy, the amount of money that was removed will be geared towards that portfolio, and again money will now be targeted for a specific purpose in the economy, whether if it is construction or building on manufacturing companies, people can be employed and all of that.
But don't forget, we cannot have an isolation. Don't forget that we just said just now that the Nigerian government is having debt distress. And for us not to have that, it's getting close to having debt distress. I mean,
Mr.
for us
Philip,
not to have that, there's need for revenue generation.
Yeah.
Now, by what you just said now, and we run a deficit budget.
Yes.
Don't you think the government will find it difficult to,
No, you didn't get me. The profit. Now, like I said, money had been removed from you and I.
Exactly.
And even the common man in the street. Because even my grandmother in the village, money had been removed from them.
But
because
they used to service the deficit.
No, what I mean, no. You would have gathered this money and put them in a particular account. When I mean a basket.
Okay.
You say, oh,
separately.
That this is what we realized from subsidy removal. 1.2 trillion like they've announced. Now they've increased money to affect the state governors and local government. What is the impact? What is the impact of money? I'm coming. Okay. Now the account cannot be shared. Half of it can go for development, building companies or manufacturing, building roads and other infrastructure that is lacking in the economy.
You're going to award contract, isn't it?
Yes. Now the other part, when I mean the money should be used specifically. What are they doing with subsidy? Money they remove for subsidy.
I think we have a challenge. We have a challenge where government.
Nothing. Now I've not answered the question.
Excuse me. We have a challenge where government. We have a challenge where the people are not really,
asking questions.
No. I'm not really trusting the government. Otherwise, what you just said now, I tell you, if we were to put it to a test, a lot of Nigerians will also come up to say that such amounts of money given to contractors or spent were also embezzled. And as a result of that, they didn't see the need for them to even put such a money in one basket to be wasted by some certain politicians.
It will not be wasted. The money will not follow the money.
The problem here is how do we build trust in governance? Exactly.
Now, Mr. Philip, let's get this perspective very clear. If money is deposited in a particular account and that money is tied to a specific purpose, maybe projects, now people will not follow the money, how the money is being spent, and they will monitor, because this is our money. It's my own money. Yes, for prudence sake. This is our money. Like I said before, subsidy removal, is government actually subsidizing or not? The first thing I expected this administration to do, I will spend about 6 months plus, was to probe subsidy regime of the past government, just the way focus on CBN right now. Let it probe back to actually determine whether truly there was subsidy or not, because the argument has been on there. A lot of people are arguing that there's no subsidy. Some are saying there's subsidy. Some are saying maybe there's partial subsidy. The argument is, as this current government think it wise to probe. Let's look back. This subsidy regime that have put Nigeria into serious hunger. Let me tell you,
a lot of questions are coming from that corner. A lot of questions are coming from that corner.
Up to now, nothing has been done.
Let's probe the cabal.
Exactly, nothing has been done.
And makes it not possible for the masses to benefit.
Exactly, our government said sincerely there is a cabal. That means they know the cabal. And now, let me learn. That means they don't have the political or the political will to deal with this cabal. Rather, they feel that the Olo Polo, which the common masses, they can really strangulate them and twist them and deal with them. Let me tell you, Mr. Philip.
Not exactly that way.
That's exactly what is happening. There's hunger in the land. There's hunger in the land. Since the removal of fuel subsidy, people are hungry.
A whole lot we can't finish here.
There's no strangulation. People are being strangulated.
Both of you are lecturers at the University of Benin.
Let me tell you.
I must first of all say congratulations to your 4 months salaries that have been paid that was withheld.
4 months salary.
That was by inflation.
How much is the money?
Inflation has almost finished.
Yes.
The price was 80,000 naira. As at the 10 money was paid.
Philip is now asking questions as a government agent.
Exactly.
So
I wanted you to react to that. It's a way of balancing the argument. Don't forget.
The issue we are seeing here is that this government are tax masters. What they think how to get money.
No. The question here is:
listen, let me tell you.
Your winter salaries have 4 months been paid.
Listen, don't interject me. What 4 months of devalued money? How much is my 4 months? I've mentioned here how much my salary.
Not everyone faced by that. All workers are faced by that.
Yes, all workers are faced by it. Then
many years ago, even when I was in school, we were told that
you have not designed to pay me tissue papers, and you think you have given me money. Forget about that. Let me tell you, this government thinks the only way to get money is to tax the people more. They use it in Lagos, and they think they use it across the country and all that. They should be told that they should return back to the land.
As a roundoff, one more question for you.
Yes.
As a roundoff.
Yes.
Now we are in the crossroad where we are asking, what could be the right minimum wage? Because we are in a point where the conversation is on.
Yes.
What could be the right minimum wage for a Nigerian worker?
If government does not want to do all
that will reflect the economic realities,
and they think everything is liquidity, they should pay 1,200,000 as minimum wage. Yes. If they think otherwise, they don't need to increase any salary, but get back to go and regenerate this economy by production. I've mentioned so many areas they need to handle to grow this economy.
I take that as your final words on this. Your final words in 30 seconds.
We are very quick to say what should be the minimum wage, and you were quick to mention that countries where fuel was sold over 1,000 over this. What is the minimum wage that has been paid in those countries? Have you taken time to look at it? Minimum wage is very, very important to push people away from this, problem, our economic problem that we are currently facing. Government need to do few things. Policy, it's not policy coordination. There must be a deliberate great attempt by government to balance both the fiscal side and the monetary side. This must be done appropriately. Again, they must, all the structural bottlenecks and all those leakages, sense of corruption and all of that must also be closed. All those gaps must also be closed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Presley.
Reduce cost of governance
as well. Not just
reduce cost of governance.
We have opportunity to talk about
we're to talk about that one time.
Very, very unfortunate.
Big thanks, Dr. Presley Osemide, and also big thanks to you,
again.
Professor Julius Iyasele, for taking our time. I hope and pray that someday the realization of our heart desires, the way Nigeria should be, exactly what you have in your mind.
It's already here. You take trucks on your highway now.
No.
People are looting. People are looting. Don't worry.
Where Nigeria will be seen as a developed country.
We have got the push has got to shove. Don't worry.
To you, Dr. Presley Osemide. Well, this is what we call it a wrap on the conversation on Benin Network Center.